I let my boss do what my husband wouldn't, but his reaction wasn't what I expected. It started with a text I never should have replied to. Still thinking about last night's meeting, and that dress. I stared at the message glowing against the darkness of my bedroom. My husband slept beside me, his breathing steady, oblivious. The phone's light painted my face pale. My thumb hovered over the screen. 1,000 reasons not to respond screamed in silence. And yet, I typed, "Don't," and sent it. But I didn't block him. Not my boss. Not tonight. Outside, rain tapped against the window, slow, rhythmic. The kind of sound that doesn't let you sleep, only think. When I turned to look at my husband, he was curled away from me, distant, unreachable even in sleep. For months, he'd been living like a ghost beside me, here, but not with me. His touch was mechanical, his words timed, his smiles rehearsed. I told myself I wasn't looking for anything, not love, not lust, just a reminder that I was still visible in a world that had gone colorless. That night, I deleted the message, but its shadow stayed. The next morning, I dressed carefully for work. My reflection looked the same neat bun, same quiet eyes, but something beneath the surface had shifted, a current I didn't want to name. When I arrived at the office, he was already there. Daniel, my boss. His voice was low, confident, that calm authority that made everyone listen a little closer. When his gaze met mine across the room, I felt the unspoken weight of our unfinished conversation. "Good morning," he said. "Morning," I replied, keeping my voice even. But his eyes lingered, longer than they should have. Throughout the day, he found excuses, short meetings, quick reviews, coffee breaks. Each time, the air between us thickened. Nothing happened, nothing physical, but every look, every pause felt like an act. And when I got home that evening, my husband was there, silent as usual, scrolling through his phone while I set the table. "Work okay?" he asked without looking up. "Fine," I said. I wanted to tell him something, anything that would make him see me again. But the moment passed, swallowed by quiet routine. Later, in bed, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. My phone buzzed once on the nightstand. I didn't pick it up. I didn't have to. I knew who it was. I told myself it was harmless. It wasn't. Over the next weeks, the boundaries blurred. Daniel's texts grew bolder, shorter, sharper. "Lunch today? You looked incredible this morning." "He doesn't deserve you." And I, God help me, responded. Not with words, but with silence that said too much. With glances that lasted a beat longer. With meetings that ended with his hand brushing mine by accident. There was a night, late in his office, when he stood too close behind me. His breath touched my shoulder. The hum of the city below was the only sound. "You should go home," he said. "You're right. But you won't." And I didn't. When I finally left, I drove home in the dark, the weight of what almost happened heavier than any act itself. My husband was waiting up, reading. He smiled faintly when I entered. "You're working late a lot lately," he said softly. "Deadlines," I replied. He nodded, trusting. That was his mistake. But something in his eyes caught me, like a mirror I didn't want to face. For the first time, I wondered if he already knew. From that night on, every moment at home felt like a test. Every question he asked sounded like a trap. Every silence carried meaning. And still, I went back to Daniel. It was a Thursday, our anniversary. I'd forgotten until my husband texted me mid-morning. "Dinner at 8. Don't be late this time." 8 years married. 8 years of quiet love turned to silence. But I didn't go home. I stayed late with Daniel. The office was empty, the city outside washed in rainlight. He poured 2 glasses of wine, said it was to celebrate the project's success. I didn't stop him. For a few hours, I let myself forget. The laughter came easier, the guilt quieter. I let him lean close. I let him whisper my name like it meant something. When I left, it was past 9. I drove fast, my thoughts fractured, my pulse too loud. My husband was waiting when I entered. Dinner untouched, candles burned low. "You forgot," he said simply. His voice wasn't angry. That made it worse. "I got caught up." "Don't," he cut in. "Just don't lie." He stood, walked to the counter, and picked up my handbag. My heart froze as he pulled something from it. Something small, unmistakable. A condom wrapper. My mouth went dry. "I found this last week," he said quietly. "Put it back where I found it. Just to see what you'd do." I couldn't speak. "And today," he continued, "I added something new. Pepper spray." He tossed it onto the table, metal glinting under the dim light. "I guess I wanted to give you some protection for whoever you're really with." His calmness was more terrifying than rage. He didn't yell, didn't accuse. He just looked at me with the kind of clarity that stripped me bare. For days after that, we barely spoke. He went to work earlier, came home later. The silence between us thickened into something unbearable. I thought about ending it, confessing, explaining. But what was there to explain? That I felt unseen? That I let someone else make me feel alive? One evening I came home to find him sitting at the dining table. His phone was on the counter, unlocked. I saw the open email before he turned it off. It was from Daniel. "Appreciate the reference. Hope you and your wife are well." Daniel had been fired. Quietly, efficiently. A confidential HR matter, they said. I understood then. My husband hadn't confronted me. He'd simply erased the problem. He looked up at me as I stood frozen in the doorway. "He won't be bothering you anymore," he said. "You're welcome." There was no triumph in his tone, no hate, just control, absolute and cold. I realized then he wasn't the man I'd underestimated. He was the man I'd awakened. He rose, walked past me without another word, and closed the bedroom door behind him. It was over. Not with a fight, but with quiet annihilation. Weeks passed. The apartment grew colder. We lived like polite strangers sharing a grave. One morning I found a note on the kitchen counter, written in his careful hand. "The lease is yours now. Take care of yourself." No goodbye, no closure, just absence, measured and deliberate. I stood there, holding the paper, realizing how perfectly he'd dismantled me. He hadn't shouted, he hadn't punished, he'd simply left me with myself. And that was the worst punishment of all. That night, I poured a glass of wine and sat by the window. Outside, the rain fell again, the same rhythm as that first night, the same silence between drops. I thought of Daniel, of the empty desk where he used to sit, of my husband's steady eyes the night he said, "Don't lie." And I realized, every act of betrayal begins with a single justification, and every revenge begins with quiet understanding. I let the rain wash the window clean, even as guilt remained etched beneath my skin. He didn't destroy me. He simply made sure I'd never forget myself.